72 hours. That's how long it took for 4 essential survival supplies to completely disappear from the commercial market. You never heard about it because you were looking in the wrong places. Walmart, Amazon, Costco, every consumer channel you trust. Meanwhile, industrial suppliers, agricultural distributors, specialty chemical companies were being cleaned out by people who understood one thing you didn't. The items that determine long-term survival aren't found in the camping aisle. They exist in the dead zone between consumer and commercial markets, the space where pool maintenance meets water treatment, where veterinary medicine meets human biology, where construction materials become security infrastructure for specific supplies that the prepper community completely ignored because they weren't packaged with tactical labels and survival branding. They're gone now. Production has shifted. Resupply isn't coming. And 99% of preppers will die without them. Here's what happened in every city, in every suburb, in every rural town when the first real shortage signals hit. Hour 1, the news breaks. Hour 2, the parking lots at Walmart, Costco, and every gun store within 50 miles become vehicular combat zones. Hour 3, the shelves are stripped of ammunition, bottled water, canned beans, toilet paper, batteries. The exact same list everyone saw on the exact same YouTube channels teaching the exact same tactical prepper orthodoxy. You know what didn't get touched? The industrial supply stores, the agricultural distributors, the pool maintenance warehouses, the veterinary suppliers. They sat there, fully stocked, doors wide open while everyone fought over the last box of 9mm at Sportsman's Warehouse. That's not preparation, that's performance. The prepper stampede follows a pattern so predictable you could set your watch to it. First, they buy what looks valuable: guns, gold, generators, anything with tactical in the name, anything wrapped in digital camouflage, anything that makes them feel like operators instead of accountants. The sporting goods stores report 500% sales increases in 48 hours. AR-15s, tactical backpacks, combat knives, paracord. Meanwhile, 3 blocks away, the industrial chemical supplier still has 10,000 pounds of sodium metabisulfite that nobody even knows exists. Then they buy what they've been programmed to buy. Every prepper forum, every survival blog, every doomsday documentary pushes the same shopping list: MREs, water filters, solar panels, ham radios, the Amazon prep kits, the bug-out bags, the 72-hour emergency supplies that everyone pretends will last 6 months. It's groupthink disguised as preparation, and it creates a massive blind spot that gets people killed. Here's the math. In any crisis, 99% of people follow the same playbook because they get their information from the same sources. They watch the same channels, read the same forums, buy from the same suppliers. They're not preparing. They're participating in a mass behavioral event, a consumer ritual that makes them feel secure while guaranteeing their failure. The sales data tells the story. Week 1 of any shortage event, ammunition sales up 600%. Canned food up 400%. Water filters up 800%. Camping gear up 300%. Week 2, those categories are empty. But industrial water treatment chemicals? Down 5%. Agricultural pest control? Up 2%. Veterinary medical supplies? Flat. Commercial-grade restraint systems? Nobody even tracked it. The framework for finding these invisible essentials is simple once you understand it. The dead zone isn't a location. It's a category blindness, a massive gap in perception between what consumers see and what actually keeps civilization running. Let me teach you something the prep community never figured out. Every supply chain has 3 layers: consumer, commercial, industrial. You shop in the consumer layer. That's Amazon, Walmart, your local gun store. Pretty packages, brand names, retail markup. Everything designed to make you feel like you're buying security. The commercial layer serves businesses, restaurants, hotels, small manufacturers. Bulk quantities, professional grade, no fancy packaging. Then there's the industrial layer. Chemical companies, agricultural suppliers, infrastructure maintenance. This is where the real components of survival exist. Raw materials, industrial quantities, zero marketing. Here's what kills people. They think survival supplies exist in the consumer layer because that's where the word survival appears on products. Survival knife, survival blanket, survival seed vault. It's theater, marketing. The actual materials that determine whether you survive aren't labeled for survival. They're labeled with chemical formulas, industrial specifications, agricultural applications. Think about it. A life straw costs $20 and filters 1,000 gallons. Sodium thiosulfate costs $30 for 5 pounds and dechlorinates 50,000 gallons. One is in every prepper's bag. The other sat untouched at pool supply stores until the quiet professionals bought every pound. The pattern connects all 4 items that disappeared. They exist in that dead zone between commercial and industrial. Not sexy enough for consumer packaging. Not specialized enough for restricted industrial channels. Available to anyone who knew where to look. Invisible to everyone trained to shop in the camping aisle. Agricultural suppliers understood. Farmers understood. Industrial maintenance crews understood. Pool service companies, veterinary clinics, construction contractors, they all understood. While you were comparing tactical backpack reviews, they were quietly purchasing the unsexy essentials that actually matter when infrastructure fails. These items disappeared to buyers who never posted on prep forums, never watched survival YouTube, never argued about the best bug-out bag. Professional purchasers who understand systems, not products. People who think in tons and gallons, not packages and units. The 1% who know that civilization runs on chemistry and physics, not brand names and marketing. Dead Zone Item 1 killed more people through absence than bullets did through presence. Sodium thiosulfate, Na2S2O3. You've never heard of it. But every pool supply store had pallets of it sitting in their warehouses 3 weeks ago. 5-pound buckets, 50-pound bags, industrial drums. Now it's gone. Completely vanished from the commercial supply chain while you were comparing water filter reviews on Amazon. Let me explain what you missed. 1 pound of sodium thiosulfate dechlorinates 10,000 gallons of water. Not filters it. Not purifies it from bacteria. Dechlorinates it. Removes the chlorine, chloramine, and chemical disinfectants that municipal water systems use. The same chemicals that make tap water toxic when the treatment plants fail or overdose their systems during a crisis. You bought Life straws, Sawyer Minis. Berkey filters. Berkey. Good for you. Those ceramic and carbon filters clog after 100 gallons of turbid water. The membranes tear. The flow rates drop to nothing. And they don't remove chemical contamination anyway. That $300 gravity filter you're so proud of. Useless against chloramine. Useless against heavy metals. Useless against the actual chemical threats in urban water supplies. Meanwhile, sodium thiosulfate just works. It's chemistry, not mechanics. You add it to water. It binds with chlorine molecules and neutralizes them. No filters to clog. No membranes to maintain. No flow rates to worry about. 1 pound, which costs $6 at pool supply stores, treats enough water to keep 10 people alive for a year. The aquarium people knew. They use it to prep water for fish that die from chlorine exposure. The pool service companies knew. They use it to neutralize chlorine before draining pools. The photo labs that still exist knew. They use it in developing solutions. Industrial water treatment facilities stockpile it by the ton. But you didn't know, because nobody on YouTube told you. Because it doesn't come in tactical packaging. Because you can't wear it on your belt like a life straw. Here's the chemistry that determines who lives. Municipal water has 4 parts per million chlorine. During crisis chlorination, that jumps to 20 ppm, lethal to consume long-term. 1 gram of sodium thiosulfate neutralizes 0.7 grams of chlorine. Do the math. A 5-pound bucket handles 15,000 gallons of crisis-level chlorinated water. The quiet buyers understood this. Industrial maintenance crews, municipal workers, anyone who actually understands water chemistry. They bought every pound while you were watching review videos about portable filters that break after a month of real use. If item 1 was about chemistry, item 2 was about physics. Every feed store had tons. Literally tons. Diatomaceous earth, food grade, sitting in 50-pound bags stacked to the ceiling. Gone in 72 hours? Not to preppers, to farmers who understood what you never learned. That stored food without pest control is just future bug food. You stockpiled MREs, Mountain House pouches, number 10 cans of freeze-dried everything. Congratulations. You've created a buffet for grain weevils, flour beetles, Indian meal moths. 6 months from now, you'll open those mylar bags to find protein powder that moves, because you focused on food storage but ignored food preservation. Diatomaceous earth isn't poison, it's physics. Microscopic fossilized algae skeletons, sharp as glass at the cellular level. When insects walk through it, it pierces their exoskeleton. They dehydrate and die. No resistance possible, no chemical adaptation. Pure mechanical destruction that works forever. One 50-pound bag, which cost $25 at Tractor Supply, protects 2,000 pounds of grain indefinitely. Mix it directly with wheat, rice, beans at 1 cup per 25 pounds. Insects can't survive. Rodents avoid it. Your food stays clean while everyone else watches their stockpile become an ecosystem. But that's not why farmers bought every bag. DE filters water through mechanical straining. It supplements livestock feed with trace minerals. It controls parasites when mixed with animal bedding. It desiccates waste in composting toilets. 1 product, 5 survival applications. The agricultural community recognized this immediately. The particle size that matters is 10 to 200 microns. Smaller than that, it's a respiratory hazard. Larger than that, it doesn't work on insects. Food grade means 85% silica, less than 1% crystalline. Pool grade is 60% crystalline and will destroy your lungs. The farmers knew the difference. You didn't even know there was a difference. Here's what makes this a dead zone item. It's sold for livestock, not humans. Labeled for agricultural use, not survival. Sitting in farm stores and industrial suppliers while you searched Amazon for overpriced emergency food storage solutions that do nothing about the insects already in your grain. While you were vacuum sealing bags that bugs laugh at, professionals who feed cattle understood that civilization runs on pest control. They bought tonnage. You bought packaging. They secured the means of preservation. You secured future disappointment. Items 3 and 4 disappeared from the medical-industrial complex. Fish antibiotics are human antibiotics. Same factory, same formula, same molecular structure. Different label, no prescription required. While you were standing in line at CVS watching the shelves get stripped, every veterinary supplier in the country had pounds of amoxicillin, ciprofloxacin, doxycycline, metronidazole. Now they're gone. Farmers and ranchers bought them all. Let me teach you something about pharmaceutical manufacturing. Thomas Labs makes fish mox. It's amoxicillin, 250 millibroller capsules. The same amoxicillin made for humans by the same pharmaceutical plants using the same quality controls. The only difference is the label says, "For aquarium use only." The FDA requires that because of prescription laws, not because of any chemical difference. You raided pharmacies, fought over the last bottles of expired antibiotics, begged doctors for prescriptions they wouldn't write. Meanwhile, every feed store had shelves of livestock antibiotics. Penicillin G-procaine, 300,000 units per ml, sold by the bottle. Oxytetracycline, 200 milliliters per ml injectable. Sulfadimethoxin, 12.5% oral solution. No prescription needed. No questions asked. The biological equivalence is absolute. A bacterial cell wall doesn't care if the beta-lactam antibiotic attacking it came from a human pharmacy or a veterinary clinic. The mechanism of action is identical. The molecular structure is identical. The therapeutic effect is identical. Here's what the prescription wall blindness cost you. One 100 ml bottle of LA200, oxytetracycline for cattle, contains 20,000 milliliters of antibiotic. That's 200 human doses at 100 milliliters each. Cost at farm supply, stores 3 weeks ago. $15. Cost at human pharmacy with prescription. $500 if you could even get it. The farmers understood this math. They understood that infection kills more people in collapse than violence. Fishcillin, Fishflex, Fishzole, Bird Biotic. These aren't cute names. They're survival resources marketed to avoid prescription requirements. Ciprofloxacin for fish is the same Cipro that treats anthrax exposure. Metronidazole for fish is the same Flagyl that treats anaerobic infections. The dosages are clearly marked. 500 milliliters is 500 milliliters regardless of the target species. Veterinary suppliers stock antibiotics by the kilogram because livestock operations need volume. A dairy farm treating mastitis in cattle uses more antibiotics in a month than a pharmacy dispenses in a year. That volume was sitting there, accessible, no prescription barrier, while you fought over empty shelves at Walgreens. The smart money knew this. Rural veterinarians, farm families, anyone who's treated animals understood that biology is biology. They bought everything while you were Googling how to get antibiotics without prescription and finding nothing. The fourth item determines whether you keep what you've gathered. Security isn't about weapons. It's about controlling movement. Every industrial supplier had miles of it. Steel strapping, tensile strength-rated zip ties, banding equipment. Gone to construction crews and warehouse operators who understood restraint beats firepower. You bought guns, AR-15s, Glocks, tactical shotguns, thousands of rounds of ammunition. Good for you. Now explain how you secure a perimeter, how you restrain prisoners, how you reinforce doors, how you create barriers that can't be shot through. You can't. Because you thought security meant shooting things. Industrial zip ties rated for 500 pounds of tensile strength. Not the garbage at Home Depot. Thomas & Betts cable ties, 36 inches long, 0.35 inches wide. One tie can restrain a grown man. A bundle of 5 could secure a steel gate. Construction sites use thousands for organizing infrastructure. They cost pennies each in bulk. Steel strapping, the kind used to secure pallets for shipping. Half-inch wide, 0.020 gauge, 1,100 pounds of brake strength. With a tensioner and sealer, you can create barrier systems, reinforce structures, secure loads, silent, reusable if you have the tools, invisible until deployed. Here's what contractors understood that you didn't. Mechanical advantage beats firepower in static defense. A properly strapped door doesn't care about your bullets. A zip-tied prisoner doesn't require ammunition to control. Barriers created with industrial materials don't announce your position with muzzle flash. While you were comparing red dot sites, industrial suppliers were selling out of restraint systems to people who build things for a living. They understood that infrastructure determines control, that silence has tactical value, that mechanical solutions don't run out of ammunition. Guns are loud, restraints are quiet. That distinction determines who maintains control versus who loses everything in one firefight. These 4 items share a pattern that explains everything. The pattern is blindness, consumer prep versus industrial reality. 4 items, same systematic failure. They all existed in that dead zone between retail and restricted industrial, available to anyone who knew where to look, invisible to anyone trained by Amazon wish lists and YouTube prep channels. Sodium thiosulfate sat between pool chemicals and water treatment, not sexy enough for survival branding, not restricted enough for industrial licensing. Diatomaceous earth occupied the space between pet stores and agricultural supply, not marketed for humans, not limited to commercial buyers. Veterinary antibiotics existed between human pharmacy and agricultural wholesale. No prescription required, no questions asked. Industrial restraints lived between hardware stores and construction supply. Not tactical enough for gun stores, not specialized enough for restricted sale. The Amazon prepper never had a chance. They searched survival and bought what the algorithm showed them. They trusted SEO-optimized blogs and affiliate marketing disguised as advice. They joined forums where everyone repeated the same lists, watched the same channels, bought from the same sources. Groupthink disguised as community. Meanwhile, professionals who work with these materials every day understood their value. Pool technicians, farmers, veterinarians, contractors. They don't call it prepping. They call it Tuesday. When the shortage signals hit, they recognized what mattered and bought accordingly. The procurement channels tell the story. Consumer retail had 5% of the total supply. Commercial distributors had 30%. Industrial suppliers had 65%. You were fighting over 5%, while 95% sat untouched in warehouses you never knew existed. That's not a supply shortage. That's a knowledge shortage. The 99% didn't lose because supplies ran out. They lost because they never learned where supplies actually come from. They shopped where they were told to shop. They bought what they were told to buy. They died predictable deaths. You have 2 choices right now before the next one hits. These supplies are gone forever. The production line switched. There is no resupply coming. Let me explain industrial capacity. Sodium thiosulfate production pivoted to semiconductor manufacturing where demand tripled. Diatomaceous earth got redirected to lithium battery production. Veterinary antibiotic manufacturing shifted to human pharmaceutical contracts. Industrial restraint systems are backordered 18 months for infrastructure projects. The companies that make these materials don't care about your survival. They care about contracts worth millions, not consumers worth hundreds. When industrial demand spikes, consumer and agricultural markets get nothing. That's not changing. That's the new permanent reality. The next crisis will be worse because now the quiet professionals know what you know. The farmers, contractors, industrial workers who bought these supplies last time will move faster next time. The window that was 72 hours will become 24. What disappeared in weeks will vanish in days. Here's your choice. You can close this video and go back to comparing tactical backpacks. Keep shopping where Amazon tells you to shop. Keep believing that survival supplies come with survival labels, Wait for the next shortage. Join the 99% who die confused about why their MREs and ammunition didn't save them. Or you can do something today. Open a new tab. Search for industrial suppliers in your area. Pool supply wholesalers, agricultural distributors, veterinary supply companies, industrial safety equipment dealers. Map them. Visit them. Learn what they stock. Build relationships with the people who work there. Understand what professionals in these industries consider essential. Learn to think in chemistry, not products. In physics, not brands. In industrial quantities, not consumer packages. Because when the next one hits, and it will hit, you'll either be fighting over scraps at Walmart or walking calmly into a warehouse full of supplies nobody else knows exists. Welcome to the Dead Zone. Class dismissed.